Hello, folks. How are you doing? Hope you are doing great. Today, I'm going to talk about one of the very interesting thing that we as a developer would need oftentimes. That will be to generate random data. All right, to generate random data. Now, why we really need that generation of random data? Because when we have a database, it can be because of many reasons. I'm just citing one of the example. Let's say you have created a database, okay, and a database table, maybe something, maybe an employee or something. Now you need to have some initial data. Let's say you want to be having some 100 data or 200 records. Now it is difficult for you to type all those 100 records, right? Because probably you'd like to work on a reporting application. Now for that you need some data. Without data you cannot work on any reporting application. Now if initially you don't have anything to start with, then you need to feed the database some data. This can be one of the reasons that you might require random data to be created and random data to be inserted in your database. There can be pretty other situations where you might require the usage of randoms. Probably you want to be choosing one of the number randomly, maybe because of some game or something. You have to be choosing random integers or random name, maybe some kind of games, that demands choosing of random stuff. So there can be multiple uses of random, surely. So let's see how we can create random numbers as well as random strings. Now you can use this knowledge anytime, anywhere. Okay. So of course, I'm not going to be talking about database in this session. Just wanted to cite one such usage of random. So the two things I'm going to talk. One is, number one will be there are two things. I'm going to talk about two types of random. Number one is, random numbers. And the second one is random strings, right? So let's first look at how we can generate random numbers. Now numbers of can be classified broadly in two categories. One, integers, another are fractional numbers, right? You can call it doubles. Okay, fractional numbers. We will see how to create both of them, integers as well as doubles. We will require them individually in different places. We might require integers specifically to choose some random indexes. Many times we need to choose random indexes out of an array or something. That can be one such important case of usage of random. So let's first concentrate on this, how to be creating random integers. For example, you need to be creating a random. What is random? Random means selecting randomly, means just haphazardly, anything. It can be anything. If I tell you that choose one of the number between 1 and just I'm going to be asking a question, dear uh, all people, and if you really answer the one of the two numbers, kindly do comment. Okay, I'll tell you that without much thinking, you have to be choosing two numbers between 1 and 10. Quick, please. You got it? Okay. So, if you have thought anything between 5 and 7, you are not alone. There are many people who will either come up with 5 or 7 or both. Okay. So, comment down below if you have thought anything between 5 or 7 or both of them. Okay. So, this is now, of course, our human brain is a bit biased. So, it is not really random because our human brain thinks something in the middle. So, that is why we tend to choose 5 and 7 until and unless you have a bias for one such number. But usually, our human brain is a little bit biased. So we don't want to go for any biasing. We want to choose. You might have studied like probability, random things in your schools, in your high schools, right? So that's the thing that we have to be choosing one random between, let's say, 1 and 10. Let's see how to do that in a simple C# program. So let me fire my Visual Studio, click a new project, choose a console application, click next. I'll go for random data. Let me call my project as random data and click next. I'm choosing .NET 9, which is currently in production. .NET 10 is almost about to come. Okay, so yes, and I've also chosen do not use top level statement. That is, I would like to see all my public static void mains. Okay, that's fine. So this will definitely tell you hello world. Let me quickly also add this console.reader key just to stop the screen from going off the screen. So once it shows, it reaches the last line, it goes off. So I have stopped it. Hello world. Okay, great. So now I just don't want hello world, of course. I want to be generating a number, one number between 1 and 10. So for that, you will require a class. Of course, here I'm not going to discuss what classes are. That's a part of other discussion. So let me create an object of random class. I can call my object anything. Random r equals to new random. Now you need to do this just once. And make sure that you do not duplicate this. You create it only once in the top part of your function. You should not be creating this object inside a loop or deep inside some if constructs or any kind of constructs. Avoid doing that. I'm not telling that it won't work, but avoid doing that. Just try to make it as high in the program as possible, right? So random r equals to new random. And then our job is to create a random number between 1 and 10. How can I do this? It's very simple. First of all, I have to be creating an integer. Okay, let me call it num. And then I have to be assigning this num this expression. So I'll call a next function on the num. And if I just do this, that r.next, this is going to give me a very big number. Anything between 0 to the maximum possible value of integer. If you're interested, what is the maximum possible value of an integer? Just click on in32.max value, and this will be this. There's almost 214 crore. Crore is a unit, what Indians use, crores. I guess many of the places in the world will use crores. However, if you say in the American system, it is 2 billion, right? It's 2 billion, right? So first three is a million. Yep. So this is million, this is billion. 2 billion, 2.14 billion. So that means it will give you anything between 0 to 214 crore, almost like that, right? It's a very big number. It can be anything between that. So let us print this for now and show that yes, indeed, it can be anything between 0 up to almost 214 crore. This time we got this big number. That's a random number. Okay, that's a random number. Computers can really give you random numbers. Now, how is it giving random numbers? Because computers do have certain, like um, certain hardware inside, which causes a clock, which has a clock inside. You can really Google that as well. Quads stuff, and it really counts very fast. So that's something internal. I'm not going to talk about it. Okay, you can Google it. So, and this is very unique. So that's how computers will generate random number. So this is totally you can't guess it. It can just be anything. Now we don't want such a randomness. We want to limit the randomness between, let's say, two given numbers. We want to be choosing anything between, let's say, 10 to 20, or let's say 0 to 100. All right, let's choose anything between 10 to 20. Okay, so in that case we have an overload of this next. Overload means multiple versions. Okay, it's a concept in object oriented coding. And you can just pass in those two numbers, 10 and 20. So this is going to give you numbers between 10 to 20. but really not so. I'm just coming up with the correction. So approximately you can think it will come up with any number between 10 to 20. So if I now run it, you will see anything between 10 and 20. This time it was 13. Then we rerun it, you'll see something else, 11, 12. If you rerun it, you'll see something else, maybe 19, right? If you run it for sufficiently large number of times, you will see all the numbers between 10 and 19. It will never include 20. You can just clearly see that 10 has already come. Okay. So if you run it sufficiently large number of times, you'll find 20 never appearing. So it excludes 20. Okay. Excludes. So if you want to include 20, please give 21. Right. So it includes the first number but excludes the last. And this behavior is not only true for .NET's random variables, but true for anything, maybe Java, Python. They have similar kind of initial and final value stuff. So it always excludes the final one. Just a special note, right? So it excludes 21. So here we can say it gives anything between 10 and 20. So if I run it sufficiently many times, you might see 20 coming up. This time 20 will come up. If you run sufficiently, see 10 has already come. If you run it sufficiently many times, you might see 20 coming up. Okay, maybe. Okay, if I run it many times, 20 might come. But that depends on the whim of computer. You might run it 100 times, still 20 might not come, right? So you can test it anyway. So this is the way in which we can quickly get to an integer of a choice, of our range, because every data will have some kind of range, right? Anything that you see in the physical world will have certain range. Now the question is that how would you really get any fractional data? This is good if you really want to get anything integral, right? How about getting anything fractional? Now, okay, so that was one example. Let me comment this. Okay, so that was one such example. We will still use this r. So what I'm going to do is that i'm going to I'm going to be writing r dot next. If I call for next double, you can see returns are random. First of all, there is no such say if in the next itself gives you the random integer. Okay, and the next is having overloads. See, there are three overloads. First is like anything from, as I have already told you, anything from 0 to the maximum value of integer. The second overload, as I've just shown you, min value and excluding the maximum. And the third one is just write them one, just give one parameter, and this will start from 0 but will exclude this maximum. Okay, so if you want anything from 0, you might not say 0, then you can just write one parameter, but this value will be excluded. So starting from 0 less than this number. Hope you are getting me, right? So for integer it is fine, but for double we have next double. Next double is little different. We cannot give any parameter within, just parameterless. However, this will give you anything between 0, it includes 0, but less than 1. Okay, so in the terms of math, we can call it a proper fraction. So this is a proper fraction. So what we can say is int, okay, first of all, my bad, double fraction, right? Fraction equals to r dot next double. So this will be anything less than 1. Okay, it can be 0. Okay, it can be 0, 0, 2. That means this number can be less than 1. It's a proper fraction. Okay, so yep, so it can be 0. So I can say this is um, 0 but less than 1. So it includes 0 but less than 1. More than 0, more than or equal to 0. I hope that you understood it. Okay, more than, I should write more than or equal to but less than 1. It's a proper fraction. We call it math, we call it proper fraction. Okay, now how can we then get a number between, let's say, well, let's say 10 to, like, let's say 10 to 20 or anything like that? You can apply your logics in maths now to understand how can we really get it. Let's say if I really have to be getting anything between 0 to 5, and it can be anything fractional. So how can I do that? It's pretty simple. If you multiply this proper fraction by any integer, you'll be getting anything from 0 to up to that number, right? You get me? Like if I say that, okay, if I have to be having a number starting from 0 to a particular number, maybe I'll call it number again, and then I can write, let's say 5 times this fraction, oops, 5 times this fraction. This will give me anything between 0 to 4.999999, something like that. It will never give you 5, but that is fine. If you really need to do something like that, you can indeed do that, right? That's quite simple. So that's how it works. That's how it works. Now I leave it on to you that how is it possible to to really do something between, let's say 10 to 20, any number between 10 to 20. It can be anything between 10 and 20. If you're thinking how to do that, it is purely simple. So anything between 10 to 20, what does that mean? 10 to 20, what does that mean? Okay, let me solve it for you. What does that mean? This means 10 for sure. It can be no lesser than 10, but some number has to be added with 10, right? So we can surely say it like that. So let me reconstruct that. First of all, let me print it and show you that the earlier thing is really working fine now. So this is a number which can be at a minimum 0 and at a maximum less than 5. So 4.999. Okay. So limiting value, it will never reach 5. This time it is 2.13. If I run it over again, you will see coming like 1.8, right? It can be very close to 5 as well. It is now very near to 0, you can see, right? It also very rarely is 0. You can't expect it to be 0, but yeah, 0 can be an inclusive value. See, this is zero point 0.5, right? So if you run it many a times, you'll find this fractional value will never reach 5, but it can be going 4.999. You can try it many times to see that. The next question is that how to be finding um, random value, any fractional value between two given numbers, let's say A and B. So let me have a number. Let me start a number from A, and we'd like to have any random number between two given numbers. Okay, it can be any two numbers. I don't mind. It can be double. So let's say double A. I assume it to be 10, and double B, I assume it to be 20. Of course, it will never reach 20, but we don't even mind. It can be 19.99999, right? And almost it will never be 10. I mean, it can be 10 as well, but 10.0001. So that is any number between 10 to 20. How can you do that? It is pretty so simple. Let's actually do 10 to 30 for something, for 10 to 25. It will make something very clear. I mean, something, for some reason, I'm choosing 10 to 25. Okay. So here, what we have is, first of all, what we will do, the random number. Let me again comment this too. I will still require, I am going to, okay, let me comment this. I will still require this fraction. This fraction is very important. So what I'm going to do is that the double number that we need will be equals to, because we have this A, it cannot be lesser than A. So we have to be adding A plus the difference between A and B. See, I mean, if you have to be generating any number between 10 and 25, that means you have to be generating a random number in 15 and add it to 10, right? I hope that you got the point. Let me come over again. So if you have to be generating random number, let's say this is 0 in number line, and this is 10, okay, and this is, let's say, 25. Now, it is not possible to create a random number between 10 and 25 in doubles. It's not possible. It is only possible to create a proper fraction. So what we will do is that we will be chunking out, we'll be like having the difference between 10 and 25, which is 15, multiply it by the proper fraction. So this guy will be giving me any number between 0 to 15 and add it to 10, okay, to get anything between 10 and 25, right? Hope you got the point. It's a very simple thing. So you have this 10 as an offset. You can think 10 as an offset, okay? And then the difference between 10 and 25 is 15, right? And multiply by this proper fraction f, where f can be lying between 0 to less than 1. And when you multiply it by f, you get anything between 0 to 14.99999. And when you add this with 10, you actually end up getting a number between 10 and 25, right? Um, okay, hope you understand that little math. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to write a plus the proper fraction, sorry, in this case is fraction, multiplied by b minus a, right? Sounds simple. A plus fraction times b minus a. You know, algorithm is all about math, so a little bit of math skills are always good. So now I can really print it and you'll see anything between a and b. Of course, between 10 and 25, giving 13 point something. I can try it many times. You can say 15. You can try it many times. You might see even more than 20, anything. You have to be like, patiently wait. See, it is now 10.13. So it has almost, so 10.13 means, the random number that fraction added. So this guy just generated 0.13, okay, a small number that was added to 10. I can run it many times and you can really see that some 20 can really come up, right? 20 can really come up. If you're curious to see at least next 100 such numbers, what you can do is that you can turn this into a loop, okay? So let's quickly do that. Let me take this whole code into a loop. Let me surround by a for each. Okay, how did I do that? I selected the whole thing and I pressed Control KS and then I type for and then immediately Visual Studio surrounded the code with a for, right? We can surround a code, we wrap up a code with for, while, try, catch, you can always do that. So just select and hit Control KS. Okay, so now let me do it for 100 times and you'll see all different numbers starting any number. You will see many numbers between 10 and 25. So let me run it and show you that it really gets you many numbers. See, lot of numbers. You can see 22, you can see numbers 20, right? So all different kinds of numbers you can really see, right? That's a whim of a computer that 20, you can really see 23, it can come close to 24. See all kinds of numbers, right? You'll see all kinds of numbers between 10 and 15, right? So that's the thing. That's the thing, right? So this is the difference. And you multiply by proper fraction and add it to the offset to get the number. So this was all about random numbers, right? We use random numbers specifically to choose one of the values in an array. Now this is a very, typical example of a random usage in arrays. For example, you have an array. So I hope that you understood this part so far. If you haven't, please pause and go back and watch again. By the way, I am Sudipto and I am a one-to-one trainer. I'm doing this for the past 25 years almost. Yes. Actually, I started learning .NET past 25 years and I'm doing this almost more than 22 to 23 years. Uh, very happily all over the world. So if you or anyone would like to learn .NET and all one-to-one, if you want to get a one-to-one mentorship, please give me a tinkle. My descriptions, phone number are all present in the section below. All right. So let me comment this and try to create an array of a string. Oops, what happened? Okay, array of string. This is ARR and let me have some names. Okay, let me have some country names. India, okay, USA, okay, UK, Canada, Japan, Australia, and your country. If I've missed any one of the country, there are a lot of countries, and I'm not biased. All countries are great in this world. The world is one world. So if you can really plug in your country name here if I have missed it. Okay. So I'll call it your country. Okay. Let that be a country, your country. Okay. And then what I like to do is I like to generate a random country among these countries. Okay, any one of them, random country. So what should I do here then? Then now it is not possible to choose a random string directly. It's not possible. I cannot say the computer that please get me a country between India and your country. It's not possible. But if you know that an array is nothing but in a placement of strings or placement of elements side by side, all accessible by index, then you can solve it very easily. India is in the index 0, USA is at index 1. You know it. That's how the indices are arranged. So India 0, USA 1, UK 2, and so forth. So what is the last index? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So your country is in the sixth position, right? So what we can do is have some real space. Okay. So I can just ask that, hey man, please give me a number. Now this time I'll call it an index. Index anything between that same random variable r. I still need this all the time. That is why I have not commented. I kept it all in the top. So I'll say r dot next because we need integer. Next, anything from 0 to less than equal to 6. Now, I can really write 7 here, right? Why 7? Because if I write 7, it will never be touching 7 because there are 7 countries in here total. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if I write 7, it is going to be excluding 7 and come down to 6. So essentially giving me an index starting from 0 to all up to 6. Now instead of writing this 7 in a hard-coded way, can't we write arr.length? It's totally possible because length will give you number of elements in this array. Okay. The illustration that I'm doing for string array is also equally true for any kinds of array because all we need is a random index starting from 0 to this. Now I don't really need to write that 0. The reason is that if I just write this, automatically this index will start picking from 0 to up to the maximum number minus 1, as I've already pointed that to you earlier. So now that we got the index, can I print the index? Let me show you that yes, the index can be printed. See, this time the index is 2. If I run it again, index is 2 again. Don't mind. Sometimes computer gets biased. Okay. All right. 0 this time. Fantastic. And you can expect a maximum of 6, and it did that. Great. So you'll expect anything between 0 to 6. So now let us use this index, plug this index into this ARR to actually read the country. So I can really make it go inside this indexing syntax, and I can just write ARR. That's it. In this way, we have successfully, you know, we are successful in actually selecting one of the random string in your array. UK, great. Run that. Canada, fantastic. Run it again. India, all right. Run that again. UK, right. Computer runs in its own whim, and your country, great, congratulations, your country, right? So you understand that, right? So computer actually isn't biased. Sometimes we feel it is biased. It isn't. Sometimes you might see USA coming 3 times. You don't think that it is biased for USA. Not really like that. Sometimes you run it 10 times, maybe that USA don't come. Like this time Japan has come, right? So this is the thing. This is how we can choose random country among a given countries or its given elements in an array. The very effective way of choosing random values and put that into database. Now once you get the value, you can put it. Now, when I started this class, I did tell you that we can create random numbers and random strings. So when I said random string, I never meant this, right? I mean something else. Now, this is where the second part of the thing is coming, where we do not need this random at all. We can generate a random string. There is a utility, a very simple utility in C Sharp, which can let you to read random string, okay, but with some limitation, but that is fine. There is something known as GUID. It is globally unique identifier, okay. Now when you write Guid.NewGuid, we pronounce it as Guid, globally unique identifier. And if I get it to string, Guid is basically new Guid is basically a function, not a property. And then this will actually create a Guid object, okay. Guid, 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 G equals to new Guid, right? You can do this. So that's a Guid object. And then you can have a string str. I'll call it GUID string, okay, equals to g.ToString. You could have done that in one line, but that is fine. I wanted to show you actually that this new GUID is a kind of a factory method. .NET do have a lot of factory methods, let me tell you. That's the topic of another discussion. So many times we don't write new. That is, you haven't seen me writing equals to, I'm sorry, equals to new GUID. I haven't created an object. I have not created an object, okay, like new GUID. So when you don't see something like that, well, this also works, okay. This also works in for the GUID, but there are many times when we just ask a method of getting an object. So when you ask a method of getting an object, we call these methods a factory method. A factory method will itself create object and will return you, okay. So this new GUID is going to be creating a object internally, will return to G. And once we do that, this guy is going to be, we can really execute this toString method. That toString is going to basically return that GUID string and print here. So let's now run this guidStr right here, okay. This guidStr right here. When you print the guidStr right here, you'll find a big string goes like that. Like it's a big string, isn't it? You can see this is a big string. Now this string is used for many applications. This is a globally unique identifier. Let me write down that GUID string, GUID, GUID string up here. So what that GUID string is, if you look at the GUID string, if you generate GUID strings many times, you will see a common pattern of these GUID strings. Okay, common pattern. It always goes like that. I'll run one more time to get another random GUID string. Okay, I will paste it here. So there are 3 GUID strings. So you see the GUID strings are of this pattern. It starts with the first 8 characters, and it's a mix of alphabets and digits, you can see, and then 4, and then 4, and then 4, and then there are 12 characters. Okay, so these characters are very random, and these numbers are basically hexadecimal numbers. So it doesn't span across all from A, B, C, D to Z or Z, whatever you call it. It goes all up to F, right? So that means, these numbers are very, very, what to say, it's highly, it's random. I mean, you can have in one of the places, you can have any one of A, B, C, D, E, F, okay, that is six alphabet plus 10 digits. So that means a total of 16 possibilities, right? Hope you're getting me. In any one of the places, you have 16 possibilities. And in such a way, we have a total of 32 places. So the first guy is 8. You can count it. There are 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. So this is 8. And this is 4, 4, 4. So that is 12. Okay. And then plus, and these are constants, so there is no such randomness about them. These are always constants. And then we got here how many? 12. You can count it: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 and 12. So 12, how much this makes? This makes 12 twos are 24, and 24 plus 8 is 32. So there are 32 random places, right? 32 places, and each place can be anything 16, right? So there are 16 possibilities and 32 such places. So you can really understand this actually means 16 raised to the power, like 16 times 16 times 16. So I can write 16 raised to the power 32, right? So 16 times 16, because any place has got 16 such possibility. So 16, that's a pure math thing, 16 raised to the power 32. If you really open up your calculator, you'll quickly see that how large can be this randomness. You can switch over to this scientific calculator, and you can write 16 raised to the power of 32. That gives you a whopping 3.4 into 10 to the power 38. Can you believe this? So this is of range of 10 raised to the power of 38. Gosh, right? Oops, wrong place. 10 raised to the power of 38. 38. So that means the randomness is very big. It is well said that once your computer or any device creates such a random string, it is rarely possible to have that string generated by any device in this entire world. Okay, so once this is generated for once, it is never regenerated. I mean, because of the probability is 1 by, can you believe it, 10 to the power 38. That is such a small probability, right? So this is very random. This is a very random string. Even getting a randomness for these many characters are sufficient. So if you want to get only first 8 characters, okay, you can very well write. So once you have created this GUID, you can again say GUIDString equals to the GUIDString. I just want to have a section of that whole thing, not the whole one. In that case, you can use a substring method available in .NET and say that I want to have anything starting from the first index to next 8 characters. What it says, what does substring say? Substring say that out of this string, what section you want to slice. Substring is a slice function. Many of the other programming language will call it as a slice. Okay, I mean, just take a slice of a string. So this slice is a string. It starts with 0. Then after this 0, it will like to go for the next 8 characters. That means starting from this 0, it will read the next 8 characters. That means it will be reading the first 8 characters. If you are interested in these 12 characters, then you have to understand that what is the index of this guy. And you can really get it very quick, or you can count it. This first is 0. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So this part starts from 24 and then read the next 12 characters. So you can say to 24, I'm sorry, 24, 24, the next 12 characters. If you leave that, Substring will automatically read up to end. Okay, so let me read the last section of those 12 characters and reassign it to this GUID, and then print my GUID to show you that yes, we have sufficiently generated a good randomness. I mean, this is again like 16 to the power of 12. This is also very random. If I say, because there are 12 such places, so again it is quite random. 16 raised to the power of 12, that is yet lot big, right? I mean this is very large, right? I don't think there are these many people in the world, right? They're long numbers, right? Large numbers. So that means you can use this as a serial key for your application. You can use this as a captcha for your application, right? Captchas use quite these kind of things. If you want a smaller one, instead of 24, you can just say that, no, I just want to be starting from the first and read the next 8 characters. And this is going to be giving you the first section, which is smaller and a good candidate for captcha as well. Okay, right? Or if you want to capture, let's say only these four, you can do that, right? If you want to just read these four, you can very well do that. So this is 0, and this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So starting from 9, you can read the next four characters. So if you do that, let me put another situation. Okay, starting from 9, if you want to read the next four characters, this is surely going to be giving you those 4 digits, which is, I think this is pretty good for, for OTPs and all, small 4 digits OTPs and all, right? Like, this is easy to remember for anybody to quickly see and copy and even paste, right? So 4 digits OTP. So we use them in many situations, random strings, whether you want a bigger one or a smaller one, right? So that's the thing. I hope that you got some idea about creation of random information in .NET using C# language. Just leave a comment in case if you want to, if you have any query, and if you really enjoyed it, liked it, please press the like button and do subscribe to my channel. And in case if you want to sharpen your .NET knowledge, if you want to be going for the interviews, and if you are still confused, if you have gone through all kinds of internet resources, if you have done all AI tools and still think that you need a real one-to-one mentorship who will understand your language and teach you the best, feel free to give me a tinkle. I'm here to talk to you, of course, for sure. Take care and bye-bye.